Stay home, stay safe. Good morning, children. The topics we are going to see in this video class are the impact of non-cooperation movement in economic side or economic front, and second thing is why non-cooperation movement was called off, and third one is why what to say that why it was slowed down, why did it slow down, why did a non-cooperation movement slow down, that means why was it not successful so till the end. And the fifth one is arrival of economic depression, formation of Swaraj Party, sixth one. And seventh one, arrival of Simon Commission or setting up of Simon Commission. And eighth one is dominion status or and the starting eighth topic, under this eighth topic itself we can say that starting of the commencement of the civil disobedience movement. Okay, and before looking into that, I would like to ask you question that this is one of the pictures related to or say talks about the course of non-cooperation movement. Okay, so I have asked question in the Google form, so you can answer for this question what it pertain to, that means what this picture talks about. Okay, that is the question. Yes, and okay, now we'll see about the concept. First topic, impact or effects of non-cooperation movement. First one, they boycotted the foreign goods and liquor shops were picketed, foreign clothes were they burnt in the bonfire, they burnt the foreign clothes. And second thing, actually boycotted means give up, picket means nothing but usually Britishers used to visit pubs, they used to have pub to have liquor and to discuss about the political informations like. Okay, so picketing means, so Indians decided not to allow them to enter into the liquor shops, so they wanted to prevent them from entering the liquor shops. That is the meaning of picketing. Okay, second thing, the foreign clothes, it hauled Indians, the merchants, Indian merchants and the traders, they used to import the foreign clothes abundantly at that time, but it reduced, and even the value it declined. The value of money also, its value also it reduced to 1 or 2 or 257 crores. And third one, the merchants and the traders, they refused to have a trade on it. They refused to finance the foreign trade. Why? Means because they will be the great loser if they have a trade and the in the foreign goods, because everything were boycotted by Indians. Who would be there to buy? So they would be a loser. So they denied to have a trade in the foreign goods. Okay, and even they refused to, they denied to give the finance on the for the foreign trade. And the fourth one is they, of course, as I said earlier, they everything they were started to discard. Okay, so these were the economic impact of non-cooperation movement. Okay, it's because this non-cooperation all people, they what to say, they boycotted the foreign clothes, right? So instead of that, they had to buy handloom things or Indian made clothes. Okay, so since it was high, the price also were very expensive, so costly. The khadi clothes were very costly, very expensive. So poor people were not affordable to buy it. They were not affordable to buy it, and so again they had to import, and again they had to buy the and wear the foreign clothes only. And the second reason, in the beginning, I hope you all remember, just to recall it, it is one of the features of non-cooperation movement in towns. They boycotted the schools and the colleges and the legal places, that is courts. Okay, so if they had come up from the these places, means Indian government must have set up or established this institution like an alternative. but Indian government failed in setting up of in a, or establishing these institutions. So again now people had to join in the British institutions and the legal places, okay, legal practice places. So these two reasons, we can say that were the responsible for slowdown of non-cooperation movement in towns. Understood, children? Yes, one is Khadi clothes were very high, so they were not affordable to buy. Again, they started to buy the foreign clothes. And the second thing is, no, there was no Indian alternative Indian institutions and the legal practice places. Okay, yes. Next concept is about actually this what to say that. The non-cooperation movement. So next topic is non-cooperation movement in plantation in Assam, tea plantation. Okay, yes. Here what happened? How these people were affected? One important thing is Inland Emigration Act of 1859, which was passed by British government. Okay, what were the provisions? What it said to the plantation workers means they should not move out. Once if they enter into the tea plantation, they couldn't move out of their plantation. They couldn't go to their native. They should not even move in and around of the plantation. Okay, so that much it was very severe and harsh law. So it made them to involve in the non-cooperation movement. Okay, but what is the mistake they did is actually they tried to escape from the hold of Britishers, but in between they were caught and they started protest. They tried to escape, but they were caught in between and they were stricken, beaten very brutally. Not only the common people, even like Jawaharlal Nehru, like even Gandhiji was arrested, and Lala Lajpati Rai was very like harshly were beaten and attacked by the police people during this movement. Okay, so see these pictures says that they were escaping. Okay, from the fence, they tried to escape, but no, unfortunately, no, like they were caught and they were beaten, treated, they were ill treated. Okay, so they also started to involve in the violence. Okay, so why they involved in the violence means they didn't understand the term or the meaning or the notion of non-violence or satyagraha. That was the main reason they involved in the violence. Okay, yes. And even we can say that one more incident already we have seen in Chauri Chaura. I hope you all remember. There was they set up a fire to the police station. Even the police people were killed by Indian. Okay, so these two reasons made Gandhiji very upset, and so he decided to withdraw or withdraw or the call of the non-cooperation movement. Okay, so so we can say that mainly he wanted all Indians to be trained properly in the idea of satyagraha. Second reason, he wanted to start the movements all over India, that is mass struggle. And third reason, some of the Congress leaders were very tired of participating or demonstrating in the movements all the time against the British government. So they decided to take part in the Legislative Council by starting Swaraj Party. Okay, understood? I hope so far you could have understood. Okay, we have seen about the impact of economic impact of non-cooperation movement and the non-cooperation movement in plantation, and third one is why why it slowed down, we have seen. Okay, and so they started, that is C.R. Das and Motilal Nehru was responsible to start the Swaraj Party. C.R. Das means Chittaranjan Das, and he was a great he was a great educator. Of course, he was an entrepreneur also, one of the great familiar, of course, at that time. Okay, among the entrepreneurs. So these people started decided to start the Swaraj Party in the year 1923, and So to start this party, they had conducted the election. Out of 142, 42 seats they got, of course. Okay. Uh, so why did they want to start this party? Now, first one, they wanted to take part in the legislative council. Why they wanted to start enter into legislative council means before that only Britishers had no could take part in the Britishers, not Indians. So they decided to take part in the legislative council, and through entering into legislative council they wanted to bring some changes or reforms in the legislative council. And second one, they wanted to oppose the British council policies. And third one, usually British council members, they used to say that they were following the democratic ideas, but practically they didn't do so. So these people wanted to prove that they did not follow or they did not have democratic ideals. So because of these three reasons, they wanted to start the enter into the legislative council through the Swaraj Party. But this Swaraj Party, was somewhat opposed by some of the young leaders. Okay, like Subhash Chandra Bose and Nehru. Okay, these people opposed to start the Swaraj Party. Okay, yes, this was the circumstances, condition was going on in India. That means one side non-cooperation movement was called up, another side there was a formation of Swaraj Party, and so another side there was economic depression all over India. You all know that it's quiet nature. In economic depression, their agriculture would be affected greatly. Okay, so there was all over India there was chaos and confusion, turmoil all over the India, and there was a protest and the struggles. Nowhere we could see they could see peace. Okay, so such a lot of mass struggle was started. So government was in a position to answer these movements. That means people. Okay, so to answer these people or to respond these movements and to bring the changes in the Indian constitution, to look into the functions of the Indian constitution, British government decided to set up Simon Commission. Okay, so even we can say that Government of India Act of 1919, okay, that it only announced that Royal Commission will be set up to report on the working of the Act. Okay, so Simon Commission was also called as a Royal Commission, even Statutory Commission. Okay, and why was it called so? In 1928, it was set up. Okay, actually in this Statutory Commission there was a 7 MPs from the Britain. None of the people were Indians. Everybody were British people only. Okay, but the motive behind this setting up of commission was to argue or to discuss about the Indian problems. Okay, but none of the people were the Indian representative. You have to see, have to note this controversial, situation. Okay, yes. So why was it called like Simon Commission? Means this is statutory, or the Royal Commission was called like a Simon Commission means the chairman of this commission was Sir John Simon. Sir John Simon. After that only it came to be known as Simon Commission. And actually this was protested by Indians. Okay, and they here and there was hartals, and they hold black color flag aloof to show their no opposition against the Simon Commission. Okay, and having not only having this a black flag, but also saying the slogan Simon go back. Okay, and because there was none of the, because they wanted that Indian representatives in the commission. They thought that Indians were deserved, but Britishers thought that Indians were not deserved to talk about any problems or to bring the solution. Okay, so it was opposed by the all Indians. So they had a so they protested. So it was rejected, we can say that. So Simon Commission was rejected. but to suppress the movement, they had a lathi charges. Not only the common people, but Lala Lajpat Rai, Jawaharlal Nehru, everybody were attacked. Okay, so during this time, Lala Lajpat Rai was hurted very badly. So in course of time he was passed away because of this illness. Okay, yes. So actually the person who was responsible to give the idea to set up a Simon Commission was the Secretary of State for India at that time was Lord Birkenhead. Okay, was responsible, and he only suggested to set up a Simon Commission. Who was that? The Secretary of State for India, Lord Birkenhead. Okay, yes. And so we can say that Indians were very, very outraged at their exclusion from the commission. So they rejected, and they boycotted the Simon Commission. Okay, yes. See, this is even not only the Congress people, but the Muslim League, everybody, all important political organizations, everybody opposed and rejected the Simon Commission. Okay. And so it at last what happened 1930 it submitted its a report. Okay, it submitted its report, and it assured that it will give some of the dominion status. Okay, why it gave this such a what to say that such a publication means because they protested very vehemently. They protested this Simon Commission to pacify the Indians, to make them to be calm. For time being, they gave this vague offer or the fake promise, that is dominion status. Dominion status means nothing but it's a partial independence. Okay, partial independence means half of the places in India, provinces could be ruled by our own Indian rulers. Okay, that is called partial independence or the dominion status. And why was it called vague or the fake offer means without any specified time or the way in which how it would be given. Nothing was mentioned by the British government. So it was called as a vague offer. So but at last what happened, since because of Gandhiji came to know that it was a vague offer, he decided under the Congress people, he decided to organize Congress session in Lahore in 1929. Okay, so in this 1929 they decided to celebrate independence or a Purna Swaraj, we can say that, not the independence, Purna Swaraj. Okay, that is complete independence. Okay, so it was decided, and the flag was hoisted in the Ganges, in the bank of Ganga, and January 30 actually. Okay, January 26 actually. January 26 it was decided to celebrate in 1930, but this decision was not welcomed by all Indians. We can say that it was a partially failure. Okay, what was failure? The decision to celebrate the Purna Swaraj, okay, in the year 1930, January 26. But actually January 26 we are celebrating Republic Day. Why means that day only was nowadays we are celebrating as an Republic Day. Okay, yes. So since it was not welcomed by the Indians, he decided to take concrete issue or a basic or important issue of India, that was the salt tax. It was why it was called as a basic or the concrete important issue means because the salt tax affected each and every citizen of India, because it was consumed, it is consumed by rich and poor, both rich and poor. Even rich people must use it in daily life. It's a daily commodity. So he thought that this problem will unite all Indians. Okay, so he took the salt tax. Actually, this salt tax instructed Indians not to manufacture, not to sell, or not to buy their own salt. Okay, so it made them very angry and to protest against the salt tax. But before starting of salt tax, okay, and he sent an ultimatum to the Lord Viceroy Irwin. Okay, who is that? Lord Viceroy Irving. Okay, he sent an ultimatum. Ultimatum means nothing but it's an what to say, it's a warning, last warning, whether they were Britishers were ready to abolish the salt tax or not, or we will start the civil disobedience movement. That was uttered in the letter sent to the Lord Viceroy with that demand. That is what was the demand means, or ultimate, with that ultimatum he had asked, he had requested to abolish the salt tax. With that salt tax, main salt tax, he had included some of other demands also. Okay, abolishing salt tax was an a specified demand of Gandhiji in that letter, and others were considered as an general instructions, general demands. Okay, yes. So since it was this ultimatum was also not what to say, the given importance by the Britishers or the Lord Viceroy, he decided to start the civil disobedience movement from Sabarmati. Okay, and it ended in Dandi actually. Okay, which is in both are in Gujarat. And in the beginning he started with very few followers in Sabarmati ashram, and later on many people joined. I told this is consumed by both rich and poor. Okay, so we can say that. And so main object or main motive of civil disobedience movement, even we can say that Dandi March we can say, or else we can say it is a salt satyagraha. Okay, so he wanted to abolish salt tax. Okay, and so he started in the 12th March 1930 with a few followers, and course of Dandi March or the Salt March or the civil disobedience movement, lakhs of people participated. And we can say that in the beginning, not only he was actually it went on 240 miles. Okay, 10 days it continued and it ended. And what to say, that in between he used to give like a talk about the Britishers and the freedom and the satyagraha and the non-violence, and even bhajans were also went on. You all know Raghupati Raghava Rajaram, it's a famous song. He used to sing during the time of civil disobedience movement. And at last preachers were given, and at last he reached the Dandi. Okay, and he took the he took the salt and he boiled it and manufactured, of course. And he violated salt tax, we can say that. Okay, and we can say that this movement shaken their like a British Empire itself. Okay, he violated the salt law by preparing salt from the seashore of Dandi, and this is a very very important event which what to say, that which made Britishers to come down. To come down means, that means they did not abolish the salt tax, but they reduced the salt tax, and they were allowed to produce the salt and to sell their salt in the Indian soil. Okay, so at last we can say that partially it was successful, not completely. Okay, yes, I hope you all this is the end of the civil disobedience movement, and from this you can understand that the circumstances were behind the civil disobedience movement were: one is Great Depression, second one failure of Simon Commission and the wave of a dominion status, and the fourth one is failure of Lahore Congress session. Okay, so these were the reasons. And why did he take this salt tax means it was consumed by both rich and poor, and very important, of course, a problem of all Indians. Okay, yes. So far what we have seen: first one, economic impact of non-cooperation movement; second one, why did it slow down; and third one, formation of Swaraj Party in the year 1923; and the fourth one is arrival of Simon Commission in 1928; and the fifth one is dominion status; and the last one is starting of civil disobedience movement. And under this concept, children, okay, how many years we have come across? First one, 1922, withdrawal of non-cooperation movement, and 1923, formation of Swaraj Party, and third year is 1929 Simon Commission, and the same year of 28 is the Simon Commission, and 29 is the Lahore Congress session, and 1930 civil disobedience movement. These are all the important timeline under this concept. Okay, and next thing is I would like to show a small video regarding the concept which I have taught so far. Please watch it.
You will learn about the Simon Commission and its vehement opposition, which led to the relaunch of civil disobedience movement. You're looking at Gyara Murti, or 11 statues, magnificent sculptures situated in Delhi that commemorate the famous Dandi March by Mahatma Gandhi. Let's learn about the events that happened before the march. In 1922, an act of violence that completely shocked Mahatma Gandhi and other Congress leaders was the Chauri Chaura incident. In Chauri Chaura, a peace demonstration to picket a liquor shop turned violent. To control the crowd, policemen opened fire. In this firing, a few satyagrahis got killed while some of them got injured. The agitated crowd set the police station on fire, where the policemen had locked themselves. In this incident, several policemen were burnt alive. Shocked by such widespread violence, in February 1922, Mahatma Gandhi decided to take back the non-cooperation movement. At this time, a lot was going on within the Congress as well. Tired of the mass struggle, some Congress leaders wanted to participate in the election to the provincial councils. By joining these councils, Congress leaders hoped to have their say in the British policies, oppose the wrong policies, and suggest reforms. To argue for Indian representation in the councils, Motilal Nehru and Chittaranjan Das formed the Swaraj Party within the Congress in 1922. However, young leaders such as Jawaharlal Nehru and Subhash Chandra Bose opposed the formation of this party and stressed on full independence based on socialist ideas. They demanded a radical mass movement.
In 1927, Simon Commission was set up with the sole objective to study the political reform in India. This was not welcomed by the Indian leaders, as none of the members of the commission were Indians. Therefore, they decided to boycott it when the commission arrived in India in February 1928. They shouted slogans, "Simon, go back! Simon, go back!" In this protest, Lala Lajpat Rai was severely hurt and later he succumbed to his injuries on November 17, 1928. In 1929, the Indian National Congress met at Lahore under the leadership of Jawaharlal Nehru. The motive was to declare a Purna Swaraj and enjoy complete freedom. Therefore, the new tricolour flag was hoisted and the first Independence Day was declared on 26 January 1930. This day is celebrated as the Republic Day in India. Amidst this, The British government in India tried to offer political concessions. However, those were not accepted to the Indian National Congress. Here, Gandhiji gave a call for a civil disobedience movement on March 12, 1930. With this movement, the laws passed by the British were disobeyed. Protest was made against liquor shops, foreign goods were burned, and government schools and colleges were boycotted. Civil disobedience movement was launched by Gandhiji with Salt Satyagraha in March 1930. The British East India Company had imposed high tax on salt. It also barred the people from making salt. The Salt Satyagraha began with the historic Dandi March. It started from Sabarmati on March 12, 1930. He reached the coastal village of Dandi on April 6th. As a symbol to defy the British laws, Gandhiji picked up a handful of salt. People began to manufacture salt and sell it openly on the streets. The movement also saw active participation of a large number of women under the leadership of Sarojini Naidu. The government tried suppressing the movement by arresting all important Congress leaders. The civil disobedience movement inspired many more people. Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan formed a society of Khudai Khidmatkars, or servants of God. This society consisted of Pathans and was known as the Red Shirts. Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan was popularly called the Frontier Gandhi. The impact of civil disobedience movement was strong, and it shook the strong foundation of the British Empire in India.
Children, I hope you all would have understood clearly so far a taught portion and the videos. If you have a doubt, any queries, you can ask in the Google form. Thank you, children.